Now, one of the things that you will know about investing in stocks, that is buying your shares, is that when you start the investing journey, buying JSE listed stocks, buying US listed stocks, when you start that journey, you must know that you are doing it for the long term. And what is the long term? Long term is anything from 5 years. So when you are investing or when you buy any asset in the markets, you must know that, or you must have a long term plan with that stock or with that asset, right? Because one of the biggest myths that we have been told for quite some time is that, look, stocks, you can make millions and millions in stock for 3 months. There are people that I know right now that are trading stocks. And I will tell you something why trading stocks for the short term, it's not a good thing just now. But before I go into that, welcome here to another awesome video. On this one, I just want to tell you some of the biggest myths that we get to be fed sometimes as investors investing in the stock market, right? Which ends up leading us into raising our expectations too high, thinking that in a couple of months after investing into stocks, we'll be millionaires, which I must tell you, the disappointments of people that have written to me about certain stocks, about certain ETFs, it's just so heartbreaking, man. But the answer to me has always been, remember, it's for the long term, right? Which is what I will be covering with you on this one, right? So like this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's get back into it. So like I said, a lot of people, when they are starting investing into stocks or investing into buying shares, they think, or they are told that it can also be a lottery ticket where you just placed your money into a stock, into an ETF, the next day or the next month, you get to double your money. And we all know, those of you that have been on this game for the longest period, you will know that that is not the case. I'm not disputing the fact that we have seen stocks doubling people's money in a space of 3 months, 6 months. It does happen. I mean, look at what happened back in 2021, just when we saw most of the stocks in 2020 March due to the pandemic crashing. The recovery onto the stocks, I'm telling you, in a space of 6 months, people had doubled their money, tripled their money. But of course, that was just that scenario, which hardly happens. Overall, the markets the markets will give you 10% annually, 12% annually. If it's a good year, maybe even 15%. That's what is expected out of the markets, which is still very, very good. I mean, 200 invested monthly for 20 years at an interest of 15%. That can give you 305,000 rands. So 200 can be turned into 305,000 rands in a space of 20 years. That's if you are getting or buying an asset like maybe the S&P 500, that obviously on average it will give you 10%, right? But there are some years that it will give you more. Let's say you have maybe other individual stocks, tech stocks, like, of course, that have been in the game for quite some time, like Microsoft. You have got companies like obviously Nvidia and all that. These are US companies, right? Those companies outperform, in most of the cases they will outperform the S&P 500. So that is why I'm saying getting 15% from your portfolio in 20 years, that 200 that you are putting in the markets can give you 305,000 rand, right? So this is very, very important. It's extremely important that obviously you know that you are not going to get this. In fact, 99.99% you are not going to get this kind of gains in 1 year, in 2 years. You have to have a long-term mindset when you're investing into stocks. These things of someone just coming and sharing you an experience of a stock, or him or them investing onto a stock and they double their money in 3 months, in 6 months, and you think that you are going to also get the same returns, you will be disappointed. You have been told lies about investing onto stocks. It does not work that way. There are instances where you can double your money in 1 year onto a stock. It's possible, but it does not happen all the time. The occurrence of that, I don't even want to go to the probabilities, but if you need to have a long-term mindset. But there is money to be made in the stock market, guys. If there's one thing I can tell you, there is money to be made. I mean, 200 rands can be turned into 305,000 in 20 years. It is very much possible. I mean, even if that 200, you are just putting it onto an asset or an ETF or S&P 500 ETF, which is an ETF that tracks the actual S&P 500 index, you will still get 152,000. But look now, can you see the difference between an interest of 15% and an interest of 10%? This is still good interest. I mean, you are investing 200 without any interest added to the 200, right? If you just multiply 200 by 12 months, by 20 years, you will get like what, 48,000 rands. 152 is a good money from just 48,000 that you could have generated by just that you generate by just putting the money aside. So there is money to be made in the stock market, and whether be it you are getting 10% or 15%, it's still good, right? But the more percentage or the growth that you get, the capital gains that you get, the interest that you get, compounding interest that you get on your assets, the better, because the power of compounding, I think it's something, it's a magic that so many people, I think, they still don't realize the financial freedom that comes from that. Just from that, it's on the next level, my dear friends, and a lot of people are getting rich by these things. I mean, yes, I know that it's scary sometimes, right? But you just need to teach yourself. I mean, putting money onto a simple asset like the S&P 500, you don't have to know which company is doing what. You are just putting your money, relax. You are getting 10% on an annual basis. Good years, you are getting even 17, 18%. But on average, you get 10%. That 48, that 200 can be turned into over 150,000 rands in 20 years. So there is no excuse, honestly, for you to be rich. And this mindset of wanting things right now, I think we need to let it go, guys. And we need to learn to have patience. We need to always think about long term. The very same long term that you will think with your wife, with your girlfriend, with your partner. This is the long term. You must also apply that long term mindset when you are investing into stocks, when you are investing into shares. And I'm telling you, your life will never be the same. I'm not saying that I'm rich. I'm still applying the same principles that I'm telling you here. To me, I've been in the game since 2018, 2019, and honestly, I've never looked back, because that period that I was telling you where people reaped 200 or doubled their money 2020 in 2021 after the pandemic, I was there. In fact, there is a channel that obviously I have, which is covering more about a US stock, one US one based stock that I'm more bullish on. If you go and check that channel, I started it, I think, somewhere in July of 2020. It's Pumunzo Seporo, the name of the channel, right? But I'm talking about just one company that I'm so long and confident. I'm long onto that company, or very much confident about that company generating me good money. But I've been talking about this stuff since 2020, which it's evident to show you that I've been in the game for quite some time. And trust me when I tell you this, investing will change your life forever. Once you start this game, you start seeing the good gains, the profits, the returns. You will never go back again. Yes, analyzing companies is not as easy, but there are assets that you can be buying, like ETFs, which are of course, basket that owns a couple of companies. Instead of you going to buy Apple, instead of you going to buy Coca-Cola, instead of you going to buy Microsoft, Nvidia, and the others, you buy a basket of companies that track the top 500 companies in the US. There is also a basket that tracks the top 40 companies in South Africa, your Vodacom, your ShopRite, your Anglo Gold, and the others here in South Africa. You can buy that basket that tracks, or that you can buy that basket of ETF that tracks that index, which also with time it has been doing very, very well. And do not panic. Markets fall down. Markets will forever sometimes fall down, but they will ultimately rise, creating all-time highs. And when all-time highs come, if you are investing into that asset, obviously it's great, right? There's a lot of celebration. So don't get it twisted. Investing, it's not a short-term thing. This word investing, it's never used for short-term purposes, but it's a long-term game. When you are in this thing, you should have a long-term mindset. I just explained or showed you how 200 can be turned into 300 and over 350,000, which honestly it's something that it needs to be said. People don't realize the power that investing has. Instead of you just consuming some of these products, instead of you just going and spend your salary into buying an iPhone, how about you think about starting, oh, how about you start thinking about actually owning Apple as a company? You own portions of companies that you consume on a daily basis, or the portion of companies of the products that you have and you are utilizing on a daily basis. That will be one of the biggest game changer of your life if you have that mindset. But anyways, I don't want to make this video too long. I will see you on the next one. That is all from me, my dear friends, and God bless you all.